Let's stay with the NFL here, but maybe look ahead a little bit because further even than this season. Soccer star Carli Lloyd from the United States women's national team was recently spotted at Philadelphia Eagles, Baltimore Ravens. They had a joint practice, and she was just drilling a field goal from 55 yards out. James Galanis told ESPN that Lloyd sent him screenshots from at least one NFL general manager expressing interest in getting the soccer star to participate in a preseason game. That would be one of tonight's preseason games on the day of recording. Lloyd declined. There is at least some possibility Lloyd might decide to try her foot at the NFL kicking game next season. While we have not found betting odds on this posted online just yet, Taylor, do you think there's any chance that Carli Lloyd becomes the first female player in NFL history in 2020?
I don't think there's a chance. It'd be really cool. There's no reason that a woman can't play football or kick or whatever. If it's her, that'd be great. But I can't really see it happening. She's still playing soccer. She plays professionally here in the U.S., aside from her duties with the American team. I saw Keenan Allen made a point that she can't kick in the NFL because she wouldn't be of use in a blocked kick situation because she couldn't tackle or something, which seems like a pretty terrible point considering most kickers don't exactly become Sean Taylor whenever they're in kick coverage like that. So, I don't see why she couldn't be any worse at shepherding a guy out of bounds or avoiding contact altogether than Sebastian Janikowski, for example. So if she can kick, she can kick. We can see. I don't know if she'll actually do it. It'll be a cool story, I think, but I think the odds are pretty slim, at least for 2020.
First of all, Janikowski has 100 pounds on her. So even if he just throws his
and he still avoided contact.
Yeah, well, as he got older, he was trying to preserve his body more. But I've seen kickers run there and just throw themselves out. Like we just had a preseason game last week where the kicker ran down the field and smashed the returner.
But anytime a kicker makes a tackle, kickoff, block kick, or otherwise, it's always a highlight because kickers never get involved in the tackles.
Well, for the most part, but she'd be the smallest player in the league.
It's also really rare. Like, how often do you have a block kick that results in the kicker needing to tackle to get? Like, that happens like once every couple of weeks, maybe in the NFL.
She's quick enough. She's playing soccer. She's going to have more speed than half the kickers in the NFL.
She's an athlete. She's a stud of a soccer player, but she would be roadkill on a football field. She's the smallest player in the NFL. The smallest player. And then not only that, is she going to kick off also, or is she just going to do field goals? Is she going to do extra points? Is she going to take up a roster spot just for a publicity stunt? 53 spots is precious for every team except for the Colts this year. Maybe she can try out for the Colts. They don't have Vinatieri anymore. Who knows? I'm not saying she can't kick it. It's all fun and games until you squash a female on the AstroTurf. Well, they don't have AstroTurf anymore. Fake turf.
By the way, punters are also kickers, but if you're going to go with the whole if she doesn't do kickoffs, is she worth a roster spot? Punters don't always do kickoffs. Some do. You've got four if you want to say an extra point is different than a field goal. You have four responsibilities divided by two players on most NFL rosters. You have extra points, you have field goals, you have kickoffs, and you have punts. And there's always two players for that. And in many situations, the kicker, who's always going to do both extra points and field goals, may also do kickoffs, leaving the punter to literally just punt. A team that has a punter that can do kickoffs doesn't need a kicker that can do kickoffs because
but that's like two teams.
It doesn't have to be. I know.
The Colts are a perfect team. She can go try out for them this year. They have nothing going for them.
But what I'm saying is that if there are
the Dolphins and the Colts,
if there are teams that are willing to have a punter on roster that does literally nothing other than punt, they can have a kicker on roster that can do both extra points and field goals. And the kickers, for all the talk about quarterbacks being the most protected position, if you touch a kicker, if you fall down and the kicker is in your vicinity and they happen to be tripping anyway, and you may have made the slightest bit of contact with the bottom of one spike on their cleat, that's a 15-yard penalty. I don't think there's really risk of that. And again, it's if she's going to have to be in a position where she ends up with a block kick and she's got to do coverage, she goes back and she'd be quicker than most kickers, so she'd at the very least be able to corral a player or stand in the way, which is more than most kickers do. 95% of kickers in the NFL on a block kick are either not quick enough to get back to cover that player that is returning it, or don't want to risk an injury and won't get back. So I don't know that she'd be in any.
She's never played football before. She doesn't even know the game. You're putting her out there to get killed.
Yeah, but there are plenty of players that go from just playing youth soccer to playing college football as a kicker and excel dramatically. But
then they go from college to NFL. Send her to college first then.
But
I got an idea. Send her to the XFL. Well, they won't have kicks. Never mind. Send her to Canada.
I mean, all this stuff is beside the point. Like, if she can make field goals, then she can get a job. Like, the tackling stuff is completely irrelevant. Kickers are so bad in the NFL that most teams will go through multiple of them every season, it seems. So it's like,
she has no experience.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Brady's not the best tackler. Tom Brady's not a great tackler, but he's going to get a roster spot as a quarterback.
Tackling stuff is so irrelevant. Like, if she can kick field goals successfully, she can get a job. That's that's literally it.
Because she'd be a field goal kicker.
Okay. Who's never played football in her life. So she should just surpass everybody who's played college, has kicked in college, and has experience kicking since they were kids, kicking a football in a game.
Yeah.
But based on what? Based on her just doing it with nobody rushing to kick or nothing.
The Detroit Lions, I want to say, signed a kid who had made YouTube videos about kicking excellently. And he was signed to an NFL contract. It's not like he played at Bama or Florida State or some great kicking school. And
where's he at?
I don't remember. It was a 15 minutes of fame kind of thing. He's a kicker. Who talks about a kicker? We talked about it when he was signed. It was something that I remember seeing. I remember going like, oh, isn't that really cool? And then it slipped my mind and I never drafted him because it's a kicker.
How tall is this chick?
I don't think that she's not blocking kicks. She's just lining up and kicking them.
She's 5'7", so she's bigger than Darren Sproles.
She's Wes Welker.
5'7". Is she?
That's what it says.
Sign her up.
That was easy.
Is that Rick's minimum height requirement? Which basically I would clear the NFL minimum for height by like a half an inch at this point.
Well, I mean, she's getting up there near Beth Phoenix's size and stature. I mean, let's go.
Great. We're all on board. Let's see that next year. I hope you enjoyed that segment from the Odds On Favorites podcast. If you did, there's plenty more where that came from. Click on the link on your screen now to be taken to the complete podcast from this week, or check out the channel to find the other individual segments. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Odds On Favorites YouTube channel for plenty more sports and sports betting picks, tips, and how-to guides.